What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. We are finally here. It is the eve of game day and a new season and new era for Michigan State and East Lansing under Coach Jonathan Smith as we kick off the 2024 season against the Florida Atlantic Owls tomorrow night, Friday at 7 o'clock on BTN. It's a beautiful day for football. It will be a beautiful night for football tomorrow. We're going to preview this game, both sides, what we'd like to see from MSU on Friday night. Also, what is Vegas saying about this game, and what else do we like around the country for week one? But first, before we dive into all that, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there for more MSU football coverage all season long. We'll be back this weekend, Saturday morning, following Friday night's game to recap this game as a whole, and then obviously throughout the season as well. So starting with the FAU Owls, Coach Tom Herman, this is his second year at the helm, was with the Bears as an offensive analyst before then, and then previously was head coach at Texas and Houston. Last time Tom Herman was in Spartan Stadium was in 2014 when he was the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for Ohio State when they won that national championship there in 2014. The Owls were 5-7 the previous 2 years before Tom Herman came in last year, 4-8 in year one, but it definitely is a rebuild for him down there at Florida Atlantic. As a team last year, they averaged 23.8 points per game while giving up 25.50. On the passing side of things, they averaged 215.5 through the air, giving up 248.1 through the air to their opponents. On the running side of things, 115.3 for them, giving up 149.3. They do have a transfer quarterback, Cam Fancer, who last year was Marshall's starter, threw for 2,162 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Is a dual threat guy given his ability to escape the pocket, had 273 yards rushing last year and 456 yards rushing the year prior. Watching a little bit of his film, he is definitely someone MSU's defense will have to key in on Friday night, him escaping out of the pocket and making things happen by himself. In terms of running back, every depth chart I'm seeing for the Florida Atlantic Owls, George Johnson III as starting running back, transfer from UMass, former teammates with our guy, K'Ron Lynch-Adams. Second, they have junior Zuberi Mobley, who only played 3 games last season, but in 2022 had over 100 carries for 534 yards. They also have Florida State transfer CJ Campbell Jr. Last year, he did break out a 70-yard touchdown for his only score of the season last year. He expects to be in the mix as well. In the wide receiver room, a bunch of transfers there as well, including Caleb Coombs coming over from Marshall with quarterback Cam Fancer. Of their top 6 projected wide receivers, 5 of those 6 are all new faces to the program. You include your quarterback, running back in the mix with some new faces on the offensive line as well. Hopefully they'll kind of be in that feeling out stage as well in terms of getting chemistry, similar to kind of how MSU is with a lot of the new starters and new faces in new places on the offensive side of the ball. On defense for Florida Atlantic, they returned 9 guys from last year's roster. That are expected to be in the starting group. 2 transfers expected to start. Transfer from Indiana, Philip Dunham, had 3 interceptions last year, slated to start at strong safety for them, and the other transfer starter from Maine, Kazir Brown, had a forced fumble and an interception last year, slated to start in there at cornerback. A name to watch out for, Day Hill, a defensive back, had 2 interceptions last year as well, something that MSU's offense will have to keep an eye on when they're on the field. So that will do it for the Florida Atlantic side. Now for Michigan State. Michigan State, obviously, we know the struggles from last year. 15 points a game. That was 131st out of a possible 133 teams in the country in terms of points per game average, while giving up 28.3, which was 87 out of 133. Not great on either side of the ball. Obviously, we all know this. The struggles through the air, only gaining 199.8 yards per game and only 89.5 on the ground. If you watch the fall camp preview videos that we had here on the channel, we went through all the positions as a whole, but we know that this is a revamped roster. And obviously, the whole quarterback room transferred after last year. In comes Aiden Childs, one of, if not the top transfer quarterback in the cycle for the transfer portal this past offseason, and you also get vet Tommy Schuster. At running back, still got Nate Carter, who is a good running back. Started the season good last year, but like a majority of the team, and the majority of the offense struggled in the months of October and November. I expect him to have a bounce back year this year. Plus, he also gets another running mate in the backfield in UMass transfer, K'Ron Lynch-Adams. I expect them to be a dynamic duo back there in the backfield. Adding some more depth to that running back room, I think, to have guys that are comfortable going out there and making plays, I think will be big for the running game and the offense as a whole, with hopefully an improved offensive line. With a wide receiver room will be interesting. Montori Foster, the leading receiver from last year, is back. I expect Jerron Glover, Isaiah Johnson, Antonio Gates Jr., Alante Brown, true freshman Nick Marsh to all be involved in the receiving game as well. And everyone knows how the hype around Nick Marsh. I'm not sure if he starts. He very could well be starting tomorrow. I think they'll probably try to ease him into things, as well as he, at least by reports, is doing in fall camp, how he looked in the spring. I think they'll still try to ease him into it the first couple weeks of the season, see how he is out there. I think he'll be starting by October, but go watch the fall camp position battle previews that we did for what I believe the starting lineup to be as well. But I know he'll be in the mix. I believe all those 5 to 6 guys will be in the mix. You have the top touchdown catching tight end from a year ago coming over in Jack Velling, as well as young guys Brennan Parachek, Michael Masunis involved in that tight end room. And this staff loves to get tight ends involved. We saw that from Jack Velling, obviously coming over with Jonathan Smith, and this staff, Brian Lindgren from Oregon State last year. As we said, top tight end touchdown catcher from a season ago. Hoping to see more of that, both from him and from the other guys in the room as well. The offensive line, as we kind of mentioned before, new guys. You got Tanner Miller, transfer from Oregon State, starting at center. Then Luke Newman moving into left guard, transfer from Holy Cross. Then you'll more than likely have Brandon Baldwin at left tackle, Christian Phillips right guard, and Ashton Lepo at right tackle. That seems to be the group that'll be going out there against Florida Atlantic in what hopes to be an improved unit, as Brian Lindgren said, figuring out the best 5 to put out there. On defense, it'll be interesting to see the defensive line rotation. Maverick Hansen more than likely will be in that starting group. I presume that Chris Bogle and Jalen Thompson will be involved starting on one of the edges as well. Maybe one of them moves inside, but I picture them more both on the edge for at least me personally. Daquan Dowse, Quindarius Dunnigan, 2 transfers expected to be in that mix as well. One of them probably I would like sliding into that defensive tackle role. We'll see who trots out there on Friday night. In terms of the linebackers, this is the most stacked room on the roster. Coach Smith said there will be 2 guys out there, meaning that they'll be running a lot of nickel, which we have talked about in the offseason previews and the fall camp previews. We talked about how that they'll about a couple guys that could be mixed in at that nickel position. You got Cal Halliday, Jordan Hall, obviously standout freshman last year coming into his sophomore year. He's got to be starting. Wayne Matthews, transfer, will be out there because he's the best pass coverage linebacker that we have on the roster now. Jordan Turner transferring in from Wisconsin. He's a captain, so you obviously presume he'll be in the mix as well. Then you got Darius Snow as well, really versatile linebacker. He did play some nickel back in 2021, so could we see him possibly slide out of that box into that nickel again, given the depth at the linebacker position? In the defensive backfield, Ed Woods, transfer, more than likely is one starter, and I still believe that Chance Rucker will be starting on the other side. On the back end, you got versatile guys like Dylan Tatum, Malik Spencer, Angelo Gross, playing safety, and Dylan Tatum, Angelo Gross can come up and play nickel as well. Amarion Smith figures to be in that safety rotation as well. Transfer Nikai Martinez involved at safety or nickel as well. Charles Brantley as well will be involved in that 2 deep. Plus you're returning one of the top punters, not just in the conference, in the nation, in Ryan Eckley, and then one of the top kickers in the conference and the nation as well in Jonathan Kim. So that's a solid special teams unit there. So what are we looking for? Week 1. Well, we'd love to see the offense get off to a hot start. However, this is a defense, as we mentioned, that returned a lot of guys from last year's team that presume to be starters for them. Would still like to see the offense pop some through the air, but given that we have a lot of new pieces in a lot of new places on offense, and they kind of have an established group that have at least been on the same team together, not saying they were all in the same rotation or group last year, but I am saying that it could take a couple drives for the offense to possibly get going. Would like to still see some pop from the offense as well, through the air and on the ground. Hopefully we'll be able to create some holes for Nathan Carter and K'Ron Lynch-Adams to run through. Excited to see Aiden Child in his first career start, and hopefully some Jack Velling connections as well. The defense, let's keep them at 17 or under, which we only did 3 times last year. Obviously Tom Herman is a really good offensive coach, from his time back at Ohio State through his time at Texas as well. So that'll definitely be a challenge, but I think it's something that is doable for this game. Limit explosives and have some explosives yourself. Also, if we get a 3rd or 4th and 1, can we please do anything except an inside zone right up the middle, right into the teeth of their defense, where everyone at home knows exactly what you're doing, and everyone on the field, in the stadium, wherever, anyone on planet Earth knows what you're doing. Any variation on 3rd and 4th and 1, if we get to that point in the game, which I'm sure we will at some point, anything for a conversion, not just an inside zone handoff, please. So FanDuel has this as a 13.5 point spread in favor of MSU. Over under 45.5. I'll listen to our quarterback Aiden Childs. He said the other day, take the over. And then individual stats, at least on FanDuel at the time of recording, not out yet for individual stats for the game, but I like Childs 250 plus passing yards when those lines do come out, and I like Carter at 80 or 100 yards depending on what the odds are. So those are two that I'll be watching for on Friday when those numbers do come out. But some other games while we're on the gambling talk this opening weekend, week 1 of college football. I like Penn State minus 8.5 against West Virginia. Miami I like against Florida with a minus 2.5 spread, and I like Notre Dame at Texas A&M plus 2.5. Or plus 122 money line is interesting there as well. Put that all in a parlay, plus 1,220 odds, $5 get you $61. Not bad for week 1 starting out. While we're on the subject too, I got Michigan State at over 6+ wins for the season. I got that at plus 124. Over under is still at 4.5. I think this has the potential of a 6+ win roster, and I'm still standing strong at 7-5, 8-4 record. If you watch the video I have coming right after this, which is the Big Ten Conference standings and the college football playoff predictions from me, I put Michigan State at 8-4, and I think, as I say in there, so I won't reiterate it too much, but I said 8-4, 9-3 is the ceiling for Michigan State. I have been anywhere between 6 and 8 wins from spring to now, and I'm still standing strong at 7-8 right now. In that video, I said 8-4. So I'll say that, 8-4, I'm still standing strong right there, right in the middle between those two. I personally don't think this is a roster that should make a bowl game. I don't get the chatter that I don't get why the over-under is 4.5. I think that's free money. I think that school down the road, over-under 8.5, is a sneaky nice bet at the under 4 plus 134. Not to give too much away from that video I have coming out right after this, but I have Michigan at 8-4 this year, so that could be a nice bet as well. I like USC at the over-under 7.5. I like the over on that. Rutgers over-under 6.5, and you're getting this over 6.5 at an absolute steal of plus 100. So that'll do it. It's going to be an amazing day on campus tomorrow. If you get to campus early, the lots don't open till 2 for the donor lots, 3 o'clock for the public lots. Go check out the men's soccer team. They play Villanova at 12, and if you have a ticket to the football game, get in for free. So get to campus early, go enjoy some soccer. If you're in town tonight on Thursday night, go check out the women's soccer team as they're playing Ole Miss at 7 o'clock tonight on Thursday night. So if you're in town early, come check out the women's soccer team tonight. Go check out the men's soccer team tomorrow as you wait for the tailgating lots to open. Game's at 12, so probably get out around 2:30. Then you can head right to the lots, get to tailgating for a couple hours, and head into the game and have a beautiful opening night in Spartan Stadium in East Lansing for this new era. Also, too, shortly before we started recording, they released the uniforms for the week, going with the classics: green helmet, green shirt, white pants, and in the background, it took me a while to hear it, but everyone was saying like, "Oh, turn the volume up." In the second half of the video, it was Thunderstruck playing in the background. So hopefully that means Thunderstruck is here to stay for the introduction song for our Spartans coming out of the tunnel. But that'll do it for this one. We'll be back after the game on Saturday morning to recap everything that happened on Friday night. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.